What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your normal Monday team, myself, Alpha Dog Bets, here with JD from Line Movers, and as always, we have Ben from We Beat the Spread. Ben, I'm going to go over to you. How are you today, my brother?
Doing great today. It's Super Bowl week. Can't say I'm super excited, but it's still Super Bowl week. We're finally there. One game left in the season. We have some big trades going on in the NBA. It's a fun time. Still a few days till the deadline. Pretty good spot in sports right now.
Yeah, it's a very fun time in sports for sure. JD, happy Monday, brother. How are you?
Happy Monday, guys. Yeah, man, I'm doing very well. Just actually, like Ben said there's a lot going on. So it's just fun to try to kind of like to keep up with it all.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So yeah.
Love that. So let's quickly go into a weekend recap, and then we obviously have to talk about all the trade news that's going on and all the big stories in the NBA, because right now, that's kind of what's controlling the world until we get a little bit closer to the Super Bowl next week, and we've had some absolutely monster trades that have just concluded. But before we go into all that, let's go over how we did over the weekend. I will start. So this weekend, had a very strong weekend. Yesterday, we went 5-2. We finished the weekend up about 3 units. So not a monster weekend, but we still went profitable and a good weekend for the Alpha Dog team. Ben, how'd you do this weekend, bro?
Saturday, got kicked in the nuts. Did absolutely horrible. Got quite a bit of it back yesterday. Went 4-3 on Sunday. So a negative weekend, but not super negative, and did well yesterday. So that was nice to win on Sunday.
There we go. JD, how'd you do this weekend, bro?
Yeah, Saturday. Saturday, man. Yeah, that was a wild day. There was like crazy upsets everywhere. I think I finished the day just a little bit down. I think I was like 4 extra units down. But we actually got that back there. And then this morning, as far as actually tennis goes, I actually swept that. So I'm feeling good.
Hey, we love to hear that. Big tennis sweep for JD. This is what JD does in tennis. So make sure you guys follow those tennis picks. Fellas, let's get into some trade talk. I don't even know if we're going to have time to get into any breakdowns today. I am kidding. We have a bunch of games we're going to be going over. But I think this is going to be what everyone wants to talk about. It's Monday morning. We just had a weekend full of crazy trades. We have Philly Jake in here demanding that the Philadelphia 76ers trade Joel Embiid. So let's break it down. We all know what happened. The big one. The big one that happened at around midnight on February 2nd. So not yesterday at midnight. The Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. There was also Utah in the deal as well. And it's kind of funny that, the GM of Utah has to get involved in every single trade possible to acquire even more picks. Blanking on his name right now, but Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has to get his hands involved in any freaking trade. It's kind of funny with that. But, Ben, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about this trade? And I'm going to put it out there. I saw it in the chat earlier. Let me find it. There's no other way to put it than this, right? I mean, Dallas got killed in this trade. What do you think?
Yeah, saying Dallas won the trade is wild. I'm just not sure how you justify from any sense that Dallas won the trade. No,
I don't see that at all.
But, I mean, you're giving up the guy who probably fills 80% of your seats. We saw what happened yesterday. And granted, a lot of other players were ruled out yesterday. I think they were still in shock. But, even then, they were down 50 points at halftime to Cleveland. I know a lot of guys were sitting and stuff, but still, just the effect of it. The fans were not happy. Fans were booing. Like, you got to think you just kind of destroyed, even if you didn't like him for his defense, as Nico, the GM, put it. It's still just selling tickets, getting guys in seats. Like, it's just the superstar level of him, jersey sales, everything like that. You just threw all that away for, bad defense, I guess, even though you literally made the finals last year, pretty much solely because of him. He averaged about 30 points per game in the playoffs. They made a finals run. They did lose to the Celtics, but I don't know how you can justify giving him up for Anthony Davis, who's 32 and has injury issues every single year, it seems.
This comment from Joe, Ben. I need you to comment on this. Luka is injured as hell. But Joe, AD is more injured than anyone. So, and he's going to be 32 in a couple weeks. So, I mean, Ben, what do you think about this comment? I know you think the same way I do, that the Lakers absolutely got a steal on this trade. You don't trade a 25-year-old megastar, international superstar, the guy who puts asses in seats,
yes,
like Luka Doncic, for a guy like AD. do the Mavs think they're a title contender now? I mean, they're slightly better, but right now they're better in the short term. So my take on this trade is that this is a trade for LeBron's successor. That's what I think it is. I could even see LeBron get traded this year to the Warriors. Let him go play with Steph and try and get a ring. But the Lakers just got their guy for the next, 13 maybe years. I mean, let's take a look. LeBron was in 2010 when he was 25, I believe. So the last 15 years, and you're going to trade a potential All-NBA guy for the next, 8 years for Anthony Davis, who can't stay on the court. JD, what do you think?
I mean, to start off with, I was wondering, as far as with the Mavs, like, what the hell was going on there? Because the Mavs office seemed very happy to just get rid of him.
Yeah. It made no sense. Made no sense.
What was going on that, like, we don't know about? Because something had to have been. And I would just really like to know what their what the plan is here. Because, to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. They're making actually like Jerry Jones look actually really smart now. I mean, like, that's crazy. And then as far as actually like the Lakers go, I mean, I think this is great for them. And I mean, like as you just said, Alpha, they just got their guy that actually like they can build around now.
Yep.
And actually like that's what they've come out and said. So I mean, like that's the plan, and I think, and actually, I mean, it's a great plan. And actually, like if you're just an LA fan, I mean, with all the moves the Lakers are doing, with all the moves the freaking Dodgers have like done now, I mean, like you're like,
congratulations.
Besides all the fires and all that stuff. Besides that, you're actually
the sports world in LA is absolutely flourishing right now. One thing I wanted to bring up to you guys: nobody, and I mean nobody, thinks this is on the GM of Dallas, right? We all have to assume that the owner of the Mavs is the one who made this happen. He directly called the Lakers and got this deal done. This was not a normal GM to GM trade. It wasn't. If this was a normal GM to GM trade, every team in the league would know Luka's available, and every single team would have the option to give their biggest offer. This trade makes no sense to me. I think that the Mavs owner got involved and got this thing done, and he's making the GM look like a freaking moron, because I don't think any GM would do this, truthfully. This seems like an owner-to-owner deal. This does not seem like any smart businessman in the NBA or any employee of the NBA or any general manager who's not an owner would do this, because the Mavs could have easily, and I mean easily, put a memo out to all the teams in the league saying, we're looking to move Luka. What do you got? Because Mikal Bridges, who the Knicks traded for this offseason, had a significantly bigger return than they got for Luka Doncic at 25. Well, like, you guys think this is the owner thing?
I mean, they actually could have gotten more. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
I mean, like in the same trade with the actual Lakers, they could have gotten more from the Lakers. That's why I was saying they were so happy to just get rid of him. That's what once again it comes back to what the hell was going on there.
And the funny thing is, Joe, I've seen this comment everywhere. Kyrie's opting out this summer. So he is an opt-out, and he's absolutely going to opt out. Will he re-sign on a bigger contract? Maybe, but Kyrie's opting out, brother. So
now, even for this year, because you said in the short term, and I want to address this, because Kyrie and AD could be magical, could be short term, whatever. However, it's what JD said. You could have gotten more. And it's not so much looking at, sure, maybe the Mavs got a little bit better short term. Luka's injured. You don't really know what's going to happen with him defensively. But short term, sure. But as Alpha's pointed out, he's going to leave in the offseason. You basically have to win this year. And can they win with how stacked the other teams in the NBA are? Even the Lakers now. I mean, you're talking about 5 to 6 to 7 real contenders that I don't think the Mavericks can beat without their superstar scorer in the offseason. Like, where did the Mavericks get in the postseason last year without Luka's 30 points per game in the postseason? Like, that is extremely high. I'm pretty sure that was the highest average in the postseason. Offensively, AD is not going to get it done for you. Sure, he's a good rim protector and all that kind of stuff, but you're going to have a good defense, and you're not going to have that superstar scoring ability that Luka brings. And the guys that had to double him half the time, and so he had to pass it off, and you were spacing the floor out better that way. That's gone. You're not going to have to worry about doubling Luka or anything anymore, especially in those late game scenarios. All that's out the window. So sure, you got a little bit better defensively around the rim, but I just don't know if worrying about the salary of paying your superstar who's getting asses in seats is the way to just handle this and look at it. When you could have gotten more, as JD pointed out, because they absolutely could have.
100%. And I think a good way to look at this is, what do the sportsbook think? What are the odds on the Dallas Mavericks to win the NBA championship? Because after this deal, with the way we're hearing how much of an impact AD is going to be for this Mavericks team, they should be flying up the boards, right? They're not. Boston Celtics plus 210 first. OKC plus 230. Cavs plus 750. Knicks plus 1300. Nuggets plus 1400. Lakers plus 1900. Grizzlies plus 2800. Bucks plus 2800. And then you get the Clippers, the Mavericks, and the Rockets basically all tied around plus 4,000. So the sports books don't believe they're a real contender. They have the 10th best odds in the NBA to win the championship.
Well,
they're in the West.
I just wanted to bring up the movement because I'm glad you brought up the odds. The Lakers went from plus 3,200 to now they were plus 1,800 yesterday. Now they're plus 1,900. The Mavericks went from plus 2,000 to now on FanDuel today, they're plus 3,500.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kind of says it in the odds there.
Well, do you think that AD is going to be there in the playoffs? What does history tell us? Street closed Davis.
Right.
History repeats itself.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Knicks fan, how many times have I screamed on this show, I'm not sure about re-signing OG Anunoby. He's so injury-ridden. He always gets hurt. What happens 2 days ago?
Yep.
History repeats itself. It really does. OG, they're saying he only has a sprained foot, but that's the Knicks. They also said Randall had a sprained shoulder last year, and then he was out for, 9 months with everything broken and busted up in his shoulder. So not too sure. But, gentlemen, let's move on to the other trade because we could talk trades all day long. So let's talk about the other big trade that happened in the NBA, and that was the De'Aaron Fox trade going over to the Spurs and teaming him up with Wembanyama. I think that's an unbelievable trade. So the full details on the trade are as follows. De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin were sent to the Spurs. The Kings received Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. And the Bulls received Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick back from the Spurs, so they traded earlier. What do we think about this trade? JD, over to you.
As far as the Spurs, I think this is a great trade. For them, this is
unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yes, it's really great. Y'all probably have a lot more to say about this certain trade to me, so I'm actually going to take this time to say something else here. With all these moves going on, it's going to be tough to bet these games, with these teams for these first couple weeks, and especially props. It's going to be really tough because some of these games, these teams are going to look great, and in other games, they're going to look really bad. They got to have time to gel and all that stuff. So this is a time where you just really need to watch out.
Yeah. Also on the contrary to that, before we break down this trade, JD, what do you think about in the betting realm? Do you usually like to fade a team that just has something like this happen if they're involved in a mega trade and they don't have all the new players in? Because let me put it to you this way. I bet the Cavs yesterday at minus 13, I believe it was. I could have bet them at minus 50, it felt like, the entire game. There was no fight in that Dallas Mavericks team. So sometimes it's the opposite of that situation, too. Do you think it's a good time to find some good edges with teams that maybe don't have a full roster and are playing shorthanded?
It definitely is. Because today, the Spurs game, I believe the Grizzlies, I forgot what the number is right now, 5 or 6. That's a spot that I have not added yet. But it definitely makes a lot of sense there because I think Wemby is also out.
Probably missed last game.
And then actually Ja's out too. But as far as the Grizzlies are kind of used to playing with him not there.
Yeah, they are.
So that to me doesn't really mean as much. So I actually don't have a play on that certain game yet, but I'm definitely close to playing the Grizzlies.
I definitely get that. Ben, over to you. More back on the De'Aaron Fox trade. What do you think this means for the future of the Spurs, and what do you think the impact of this trade will be?
I love this move for the Spurs. I absolutely love everything about it. You went from, aging Chris Paul as your starting point guard who started every game at the 1. And, he's 39 now. Sure, he's had some great years, legendary career, but he's 39, and you can see it. He's only averaging 9.5 points per game this year. He's been a great facilitator. He's averaging the 7th most assists in the NBA, but they really needed that crossover to a guy who can really just score. And that absolutely is De'Aaron Fox this year, who's been, 25 points per game, 13th. And he's still a facilitator. I would say he's up there with Chris Paul as far as, what he brings to getting the ball around the floor. But Chris Paul was there solely to make passes. De'Aaron Fox is there to score. So there's a big difference now in how you look at this team offensively along with Stephon Castle, who's making a serious run for Rookie of the Year.
He's
and
been
Victor
fantastic.
Wembanyama, who's the outright clear favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year, on top of being an absolute monster in the paint. So, and now you're teaming up De'Aaron Fox again with Harrison Barnes, who played with him on the Kings last year. Now he's back with Harrison Barnes, who actually hasn't been that bad in the power forward role. He's a guy that won't light up the scoreboard, but he's kind of sneakily pretty good and a pretty good shooter. So getting Chris Paul to come in off the bench when De'Aaron Fox now is on the bench, and then Chris Paul comes in behind him now, is a great role for Chris Paul. It's a perfect role for him. At 39 years old, I don't know how much he should be a starter as a point guard, but now in this current role, with him coming off the bench, I love it for him. He won't get as many minutes. It's a perfect role for him. I love this move. This is amazing for the Spurs.
I couldn't agree more. And you're going to tell me you're going to pair one of the best young superstar point guards in De'Aaron Fox, who is 27 years old, in the prime of his career, with a guy like Victor Wembanyama, who is an absolute alien. The guy is not from this earth. He can do things on the court that we have not seen before. So you're going to put an electrifying big who could stretch the court with an electrifying point guard who can do basically everything out there. A lot of people don't love De'Aaron Fox. They haven't seen him play a ton because he's been stuck out in Sacramento for, an irrelevant team. But guess what? We're going to see a lot of De'Aaron Fox now because the Spurs are the darling of the NBA. Victor Wembanyama is on national TV all the time. So if you are not familiar with his game, I promise you, you will be soon. The Spurs are set up incredibly well for the future with this trade. They made an unbelievable decision to get De'Aaron Fox. To me, this was the big sweepstakes. We obviously did not know about Luka and his trade, but all trade deadline season, we talk about the deadline on the show all the time. I genuinely do believe De'Aaron Fox was the grand prize of the deadline, and I don't think the Spurs gave up too much to get him. I think they're set up very well for the future, and they have a young, star-studded core that they can build around going forward. This is the Spurs, man. They do this every 10 years. They flip, their great legends go, and they get new stars in the door. We've seen it for all of our lifetimes. Tim Duncan, David Robertson, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. Now you get the new wave, Victor and De'Aaron. Unbelievable for this Spurs team. Their management should be very proud of what they're doing. And if you're a Spurs fan, congratulations. It must be fantastic being a Spurs fan.
Great.
Because as a Knicks fan, it effing sucks. But good for Spurs fans. All right, fellas. One more thing I wanted to talk about with this trade, which is kind of funny. DeMar DeRozan can't get the hell away from Zach LaVine, man. DeMar finally gets out of Chicago. He gets away from Zach LaVine. And then guess what? Guess who's been traded? Right back to you, DeMar, your good buddy, Zach LaVine, who I don't think they're exactly the closest friends. So I do find that very funny that they will be playing with each other yet again. He was not able to escape the grasp of him. All right, fellas, that's enough about the trade deadline. Today, I'm sure there will be more news to break down when we go over it on Wednesday, the day before the trade deadline. So let's move on and do what we do on this show. Let's get into a little college basketball breakdown. We have 400 people here that only heard our trade talks. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Looks like you guys do enjoy that kind of content. But let's move on to our first college basketball game of the day, which is going to be the Iowa State Cyclones taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. It is a 9 p.m. Eastern time tip-off tonight on ESPN, nationally televised game. Cyclones are coming in third ranked in the nation. They are 17-4 and 7-3 in conference. However, they are coming in off back-to-back losses to Kansas State and Arizona. Kansas, on the other side, had a pretty terrible loss to Baylor in their last game. I don't think there's any other way to put it. They're losers of 2 of their last 3 games. They lost in double overtime to Houston, which isn't too bad. But that Baylor game, they definitely should have won. If you watch that game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Kansas is coming in 11th in the nation. They are 15-6 and 6-4 in conference. Ben, what you got?
I absolutely love this spot for Iowa State. 2 games ago, they have that heartbreaking overtime loss in Arizona, an absolutely awesome half-court shot by Caleb Love. Even as a person who bet on Iowa State in that game, that was really fun
awesome
to see. I love college basketball for that reason. Just crazy stuff like that happens all the time. And just the way the fans explode. That was a fun game. I ended up losing on it at Iowa State, but they come off that heartbreaking loss, and then over the weekend they come back home to try and regroup. And all of a sudden, this 15.5 favorites, they have a 30-game home win streak on the line, and they lose outright to Kansas State. They kind of got dominated. I think they were still feeling the effect going out west and just kind of reeling from the emotions of that game, because that was just a few days prior to that. So I do think they were influenced a little bit by that. And now I think it's time that they regroup. I love Otzelberger as a coach. I think he's going to have these guys up for this game. And we've seen Iowa State do this all year. They've been an impressive team. They're coming off back-to-back losses, but it's hard to forget that they could very, very well be playing very late into March and into early April at the end of the season because of how this team is set up offensively and defensively. I believe they're one of the most balanced teams in the nation on both sides of the floor. So if you're going to give me a few points here in this instance, I'm going to take them with Iowa State. I don't like Kansas as much in this spot. They haven't been covering lately. They're losers of 2 of their last 3 as well. So I'm going to take the points here. Give me Iowa State.
So what we're saying, Ben, is that your body is moving like a cyclone. Shout out Baby Bash, classic song. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And Ben is moving that body like a cyclone, baby, and I am joining you. This is Iowa State all day. Iowa State outright on the money line. They should be able to take down this Kansas team. They're a better overall team. I do think their coach is fantastic, and I think they have a huge performance here. Give me Iowa State on the money line. Don't even want the points. JD, what you got?
Man, Alpha, you just took me way back. I was not ready for that.
You're welcome.
About this game, I was the lucky one to be on Kansas on Saturday. Blew a nice 21-point lead.
It's terrible.
That was a rough one, man. But then you have the Cyclones though. They played Zona. That was 2 games ago, and it was looking like they had a nice win there. Then they had the crazy half-court shot, tied the game. Then in overtime, they just didn't come out and play. They lost that one, and then last game was Kansas State at home. They straight up just actually got their ass whooped. And that was crazy to see. I was not expecting that one whatsoever. I have actually been like an Iowa State guy this whole entire season. We've come on here, we've talked about as far as actually the futures goes and all that. And it's been all about them. I will have to say, I think this is a Kansas spot. Kansas has started to get guys back now. They're actually getting healthy. This is going to be their second or third game actually with those guys back. And, I have the line here at actually -3.5. So I'm not seeing a huge edge. As far as the money line, though, as far as the Kansas money line, I really want to be on that. Looks like it's -140 currently. I am gonna wait and hope that comes down just a little bit. If I could get that in the -130 to -135 range, I am definitely in. But for right now, I'm gonna have to pass, but definitely lean to the Kansas side here.
There we go. We got 2 on the Cyclones, 1 on the Kansas Jayhawks. We'll be happy on Wednesday, when we recap this game. Let's keep it moving, fellas. That was the only college basketball game we're going to be breaking down today, but the next game we're going to be getting into is Joe's Houston Rockets against my New York Knicks. The Rockets are coming in 32-16 on the year, a phenomenal road team, 17-7, taking on a Knicks team that's 32-17 on the year and 17-9 at home. Let's go over to the injury report. OG Anunoby, probably never going to see him again. Knicks are claiming it's a sprained ankle. Nobody believes that. He had a non-contact injury where he reached down and grabbed his heel. Never seen anyone sprain their ankle by doing that, but I digress. On the other side, Jock Landale, game time decision. Big injury for the Rockets tonight. Fred VanVleet will be out tonight, their point guard, their veteran leader on this team. With a lot of young kids, FVV provides a very valuable role to this team. Alperen Sengun is also a true questionable for the Knicks. Josh Hart has been upgraded to probable. OG is out, like I said. Mitchell Robinson is not a real human being, and Pacom Dadier is out as well for the Knicks. All that being said, Ben, what you got?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a no play for me in this game. The points were looking mighty fine until you talked about, until the Fred VanVleet news, because like you said, you actually put it perfectly with the way that he's the veteran that kind of leads this young team. It's a very impressive team, very good defensively. It's just without him, it's hard to see what they're going to look like against a pretty good Knicks defense. They're not like the best defense in the NBA, but they have a pretty good defense that I believe will be able to cause some issues for the Rockets without VanVleet kind of guiding them through this one, as he usually does in his role on this team, and part of why they've been so good this year. That being said, the line kind of is speaking to me here because they're getting 6 points. I would think it would be lower, and this just leads me to believe that the Knicks are going to kind of take control of this game for all the reasons you brought up with VanVleet and everything. So I would lean the Knicks, but it's not strong enough to where I want to play anything, so it's going to be a no play for me.
JD?
Man, this actually Houston side, I was ready to smash, man. Because they're like coming off such a bad loss, and actually like, the coach like called them out. I mean, the Nets, you're a 13-point favorite to the Nets, and then actually like, you get beat by what it was like 12 or 13 points. That is a bad loss. I mean, actually, like the Knicks are off a loss too, but
I was going to say both are off bad losses.
But the Knicks loss to me is just not the same type of bad.
I agree.
That Houston loss is like a different level of actually bad there. But actually, like Ben just said, with the guys out though, it's kind of made me hit the brakes here. This like number has actually started to go up. It was around like 5, and now it's up to like 6 and 6.5.
That's the FVV news.
Yeah, so it's a spot where, like I said, the Rockets was where I was wanting to go, just for the spot. But now with who's going to be in and out of this game on both sides, I'm actually just going to have to pass.
Alpha's in a Knicks shirt. He's usually in a Knicks hat. He's not today, but he's in a Knicks shirt. That means Alpha's on the Knicks, right? Right? Wrong. It's not a Knicks play, guys. I can tell you that. Right away, been looking at this game. The Knicks have very much struggled to good opponents this year. They've beaten up on all the lousy teams in the league, but they're barely over 500 against teams with a winning record. The Rockets are going to come in there and play a very tight game. I still think the Knicks probably win this by a couple points, but I don't think they cover the 6.5. I agree with Joe here. Not that I don't fully agree. I still think Fred VanVleet is a more valuable player to this team, but I think Alperen Sengun is maybe just a small tick right below him. I think Sengun is fantastic, and I do think that if he doesn't go, you can't take the Rockets. You have to monitor this line. If there's no Sengun and they only have a guy like Steven Adams playing center tonight, Karl Anthony Towns is going to score 962 points. So I do think they are going to need Sengun in the lineup. But if they get Sengun, I think the Rockets keep this close and they definitely cover. I would not recommend taking the Knicks in any way tonight, not even as a parlay piece. Coming off a very bad loss to the Lakers, banged up team. How are the rotations going to look without OG Anunoby? A lot's going on for the Knicks right now. Also, it's a big week in the trade deadline. The Knicks have to make a move. I'm very convinced that now they will be trading Mitchell Robinson, which means a lot of other role players will be going in a deal as well. So I think, I've talked about this on the show a lot, that during trade deadline week, you have to kind of look at teams. You're not sure what they're going to do. If you kind of have a team you think is going to be solidified, maybe not touch them. So for me, no Rockets or no play here. I definitely don't think you could take a play on the Knicks. JD, what do you got?
I do have to say it was actually last week. I believe it was last Thursday. The Rockets played. I think actually that was the Memphis game. I do have to come back to it because I gave out Rockets first half, Memphis full game at plus 450, and actually that one hit. So that was a good one. So I just had to come back and say that.
There we go. Hey, toot your own horn, bro. You gave up a good play. You cashed it. You got a little toot over there. All right, boys. Next game we're going to be going to that I know we have a difference of opinion, so I will start yelling at you guys, is going to be the Orlando Magic, 24-26. They're 9-17 on the road, and they've been an absolute disaster. Losers of 4 of their last 5, and they've lost to some garbaggio teams. The Utah Jazz, the Blazers, the Heat, and the Blazers again are the 4 of their last 5 losses. Their only win was over an impressive Pistons team, but can't take that into too much consideration right now. Taking on a Warriors team that is 24-24. They are 14-13 at home. Injury report does look like Jalen Suggs and Draymond Green are the only 2 game time decisions. All the other players you expect to be there tonight will be there, except for Jonathan Kuminga, who will be back in about 2 to 3 weeks. Ben, over to you. What do you got?
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago in early January when the Magic were in a great spot. They were like, 20-21 and what was it, like 11, 12, something like that. And now they're, I believe it's 4-13 over their last 17 games. A lot of bad losses in there. A few good wins. They beat Philly without Embiid and George and all them. They beat Detroit.
Which, by the way, not to interrupt you, I am interrupting you here. But speaking of Embiid, back on the court practicing today. Really excited about that one. I'm sure
is that why someone was calling for his trade?
Jake is just Philly. Jake is just Philly Jake. You will learn to love Philly Jake for what he is, and that's Philly Jake.
But with everything that I said there, it is interesting to see this line where it is getting only my +3 to a Warriors team that their identity is so weird right now because they just moved Quentin Post into the starting role the last few games. I'm sure most people on the show don't even know who Quentin Post is.
Probably.
It's just like a weird spot for them where they're kind of transitioning between players. They were looking at a Jimmy Butler trade. That news came out and they didn't get it. So it looks
Jimmy vetoed it. Jimmy vetoed it.
Yeah,
he said, "I will not go."
Doesn't want the extension, and then just it looks like they're shopping. I don't know how much they're really even in these games at this point. Honestly, I like the Magic in this spot. The line's kind of speaking to me here with the +3. Even with as bad as they've been, it just feels like they have more of an identity right now. I don't know. I'll take the Magic +3. Give me the Magic.
Let me tell you something. Ben. And you too, JD. I'm taking the Magic tonight. And if they don't fucking cover this game tonight, I am so done with this team for the foreseeable future. This is such a Magic spot. They have the better players. They're coached very well. I wouldn't say they're the better coach team, but they're coached very well. And they need to get it rolling. Taking a look at the 2024 Southeast standings /2025, Miami is leading the Southeast by a record of 24-23. Orlando is in second place at 24-26, a game and a half back. They got to get it going. Miami is in a disaster run. I mean, they're playing well, but it's not going to continue. Jimmy's going to get traded. That team is not equipped to make a deep playoff run. Orlando has to get it going if they want to be the playoff team that everybody expects them to be. I'm all over the Magic in this spot, +3. I do anticipate them having a big performance tonight. And yet again, if they don't, I'm so done with this team. I can't keep doing it. So this is their last shot to remain a team Alpha enjoys to bet because they were great for me early in the year. They have some very talented players, and we've seen this team very capable of having some very good games. They need to get it going, and they need to get it going right now. Give me the Magic +3. JD, tell me why I'm an idiot and you're on the other side.
We actually talked about it, man. It was actually last show, which was actually our Thursday show. The Magic, they just haven't put it together yet, man. And that's just like I said, I just can't back them until they show it to me, and they just haven't yet. I mean, their last game to the Jazz, losing that game, that was just even worse. And then you have Golden State here. That's not a team I've really been backing much. In this spot though, this is their last game of their actual homestand. And actually on this homestand, they're actually 3-2. They do not want to end this on an actual loss. And to me, this is just a warrior spot. You can actually get a 2.5 still. So I am going to lay it.
More to come on Wednesday. Man, these Magic better show up because there's nothing better than coming to look at JD and saying, "Ha, I told you it was the Magic." And there's nothing worse than when coming on and JD looks at me and goes, "Ha, told you it was the Warrior." So I hope I'm the one with the laugh. More to come on that. Final game we're breaking down today, gentlemen, is going to be the Phoenix Suns taking on the Blazers. Joe, I'm waiting for your comment to tell us why Blazers money line is the play, but let's dive in. Guys, Blazers, who are out for them tonight. Matisse Thybulle is out. Robert Williams is a game-time decision. Another guy who's not a real human, by the way, who we never see on the court. For the Suns, saying they're good, saying they're all good to go. So we should see a fully loaded Suns team. Last time out, the Suns had a disappointing performance against these Blazers. They did lose by 19 points. Are we going to see a repeat of that, or are we going to see the Suns take it in this one? Ben, over to you. You're muted. You're muted.
I can't get a read on this Trailblazers team. It just always seems like, they're out of nowhere, suddenly good, and then suddenly bad again. They on paper, they actually don't have that bad of a team. And they're 20-29. All of a sudden, you look, they're 7-1 in their last 8. Their only loss is to the number 1 team in the West. So it's like right now they're balling. It's just like all of a sudden, that's not going to keep up. This trend is going to go in the opposite direction soon. Like on paper, good team. It's just they don't keep it consistently. The 7-1's not going to last. And they did just beat Phoenix by a lot of points. And now Phoenix is only laying 4.5. It just is actually it's a weird line to me. It feels like a line Phoenix will cover. It looks like people kind of, not that the books want you to take any team ever, but it looks like kind of a Suns line to me. The fact that they just got blown out to them. The Trailblazers are hot. It's only 4.5 points. But I think it's actually kind of a Suns spot. But I'm going to lay off it just because the Blazers are hot right now. You never know what you're going to get with that team. It's kind of scary to me, but I lean Suns.
I'm taking the Suns in the spot. I think they're going to have a big bounce back. Last game they played, they were a little fatigued. They did play a bunch of games in a small sample size. I do think we see them pretty rested tonight and in a big performance. A lot of their guys have come back from injury. KD was out for a little bit. Booker's missed a few games. They're getting it back together, and I think we see a big performance here. Give me the Suns. Right now the line has moved up, so let me get the current line to 5, and that's exactly what I am playing. Give me the Suns -5. JD?
Man, this actually Blazers team has been so good to actually me. Just actually like Ben said, they've won in like outright 7 of the past 8. I believe they've covered their actual last 8 games.
Yep.
The Suns, as far as covering, they just kind of haven't been. Saying all of that, I'm on the same page as actually all that. As far as this spot, though, this is a Suns spot all day long. I think because as far as their ATS numbers, let me see if I don't have them right in front of me. But I know that they're not good though. I think they're really bad. But anyway, that's just giving them actually more actually value in this spot. I haven't gotten to the window yet here on it. The line is actually going up. Makes a lot of sense to me. I'm probably going to stay off of this game though. But as far as Suns go, is a strong lean though.
You guys want to hear a report that just came out from NBA Central? I had to make sure it wasn't Centel, the troll account, but it's from the real one. Several people within the Warriors front office have dreams of teaming up LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry in Golden State for this season. Sources say the most ambitious idea being tossed around would be a 3-team deal to get all these guys to the Bay. Let me tell you something. I would love to be dating Sloan from Entourage, but that ain't fucking happening either. There's no chance they're able to move all these assets to be able to bring to the Warriors KD and LeBron James. Are you out of your mind? Also, a question. If LeBron does go to the Warriors, is Bronny going to the Warriors G League team? Is he involved in the deal? Does he go too? Or are they going to keep him there? What happens with that? But yeah, Ben, I'll quickly ask you because I know what you're going to say because you're not a moron. Is that going to happen? Are the Warriors going to get LeBron, KD, Steph? Maybe Clay comes back. I don't know. Maybe Larry Bird comes out of retirement too. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm glad you used the sarcasm, so I couldn't tell what you wanted me to answer. But no, it's not going to happen. There's just no way. LeBron, sure, could.
Maybe.
But
I agree.
You can't have that many. What would the contracts look like? Can you imagine? How would you?
What are you going to trade? 900 Brandon Pajemski?
Yeah, what are you going to trade? Every pick for the next 30 years? Like you don't get a draft pick for the next 30 years.
Well, I believe you can only trade 10 years down the line, and I believe they've used most of those. So I don't even think they have many first that they can still trade. Crazy that they're, coming up with these theories, but welcome to NBA trade deadline week, my friends. We will hear some absolute crazy crap over the next couple days. I do think in terms of the trade deadline, there's one more domino that's going to fall. I do think it's going to be Jimmy Butler. I think he ends up in Phoenix. That's my prediction there. But outside that, I think it's going to be a lot of smaller pieces. I don't think we see any other major blockbusters. Maybe a Brandon Ingram from New Orleans, maybe a Zion, maybe. But I think the only real big piece left is going to be Jimmy Butler. All right, boys. Well, that's going to do it for today's breakdown.
Right, I gotta say this, man. You just brought up Sloan from freaking Entourage. You're just taking me back today, man.
You like that, man?
Yeah, man. That is one of the best shows ever.
Ever. My favorite show of all time.
Ever. And yeah, man, it's just a good vibe day here, man. Yeah.
It's always good vibes on MoneyBall Metrics. Well, on across the board. Sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. All right, boys. Couple things we still have to do today, as we always do. Let's get into our best bets of the day for today, Monday, February 3rd. Ben, I'm going to start with you. Let's see what you do with this one. What do you got?
All right, guys. I have 2 for you. I have 1 in college basketball. It's the only game we covered, and it is actually one of my favorite plays today. I love Iowa State here to bounce back after back-to-back losses. I believe they're too good of a team to lose 3 in a row, even if it is to a pretty decent team in Kansas. And then in the NBA, it gets interesting because I accidentally set the wrong team earlier. So on the board, it's going to say Warriors, but it's not because we already talked about it. I already told you guys I'm on the Magic, and I am on the Magic. I love them in this spot, getting the 2.5 or 3 points. Wherever you can get the line, it's kind of back and forth between both. I got the +3, but I love that spot for them as well. No matter what the board says in a minute.
There we go. I'll quickly go over mine. I am on the Magic as well, and I'm on the Suns tonight. Magic +3, Suns -5. Let's get it. JD, what you got?
As far as on the show, I'm actually just gonna have one play, and that's gonna be Golden State. You can still get a minus actually 2.5 still, and actually I'm on that.
All right, and there's still one more thing we have to do today. We took a little detour. We took a little different route. To get there today. But you guys already know to sign up for Profit X. JD, do we have a play of the day in Profit X today? Because we're all on different sides.
Yes.
How do we want to do it today?
No, we're gonna. Okay, here we go. We're just gonna do this.
Let's see what we got here.
Suns.
We're doing a duel. I love it. You can see the Suns, guys. -4.5 at -109. You guys know I'm all over the Suns for tonight. If you take a look at any of the major books, it's up to -5 at -110. So the best value you can get is on Profit X. You can see right here, -4.5 is coming in at -109. I love that play. Best bet for me. I know we're going to cash another Profit X play of the day. And JD, there's a couple ways that they can access the great benefits we have for them on Profit X. And as you always tell the people, you get 2% back on every play for your first 30 days, up to 300 in profit cash. But you have to use what code, JD? What's the code they got to enter?
Code MBM.
Code MBM, baby. That gets you all the great benefits in Profit X. Make sure you guys take advantage of that and get in on Profit X. Some great value and the best place to find the best lines. All right, boys. Let me put up the graphic of best bets, but nobody look at Ben's. Take your phones out. Take your screenshots, but still blur out what Ben has there with the Warriors. He's on the Magic, riding with me. JD's on the Warriors on the other side, and I'm on the Magic +3 and the Suns -4.5. JD, we have a little bit of news for the people today. So let me put this up here and let everybody know that across the board, we're moving to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show for the off season right now. Thank you guys for making NFL season as spectacular as you guys have made it for us. It's been a pleasure coming on here every single day, Monday through Friday, and breaking it down. But don't worry, we're still here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, breaking it down for you guys as we gear up towards baseball season. All right, fellas, that's going to do it for today's show. A lot's gone on the show today. A lot of news, a lot of information, a little trade breakdown, a little game breakdown, and a little nostalgic breakdown as well. Ben, do you have any parting words for the people today?
Let's go Magic and Iowa State.
I like that. Let's go Magic and Iowa State. I'll go with that as well. JD, any parting words for you before we get the hell out of here?
As far as this week for us, this is a really busy week. We got a lot of news that's going to be coming out basically almost like every day. This show here, we are going back to what it used to be. There's what we started with for months. And as far as content, do not worry. We're actually bringing y'all more. It's just not going to all be in this certain form. Matter of fact, one of our new shows will be dropping to actually tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what time yet. But if you like Trade Talk, you will definitely love that show. And we will have more news as the week goes on.
Love to hear it. So stay tuned, everybody, for a lot of great news coming out of MoneyBall Metrics.
Definitely. And after all of that, I feel like we've already given actually y'all a lot of news. So I'm just going to stop there for now. But as far as the rest of the day goes, let's fucking win.
Let's fucking win all your bets outside that Magic game, JD. We appreciate all the viewers. I appreciate you guys up here with me. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Peace.